The straight out of line ruler was created by Carla Alexander to go with many of her patterns and books. In this case, you cut an angle across a square to create squares when they are pieced together that look like you sewed curves, but you didn't. So it is very simple to use, and you can start with squares from 4 to 10 inches and any ½ inch in between. In this case, I took two 7-inch squares. The fabrics are right sides up, both fabrics, and when I place this ruler on here, I just line up the 7-inch line on the ruler to the outside edge of the blocks and make my first cut. To create the second cut, I take this ruler and put my pieces so they are right together, and then I am going to flip the ruler over, line up the 7-inch lines on the ruler again, and there is a little white diagonal right here that should line up with my original cut. So when I cut along the angled edge of the ruler again, I am going to end up with 2 obtuse triangles and 2 kite shapes. Now I am going to shuffle the deck, and I am going to do the bottom layer on the top on 2 of the pieces. So when I sew these together, I will have a 4-patch with 2 lights and 2 dark greens, and the odd angles will appear. I take these, put them right sides together, and check to make sure that when you sew them that you are going to have a straight edge on the outside edge, and I will sew these pieces together. Once I have done that, and I have my 2 pieces, see how this angle is exactly right? The outside edge will be off a little bit because of this obtuse angle and sewing together an acute angle and an obtuse angle. So when I do that and sew these right sides together, I'm going to match my seam in the middle, and I will end up with a block that looks just like this. If you notice, the outside edges are off just a tiny bit, so I take this ruler and I line it up with the edge of the green, in this case, which would be your kite shape, and I can trim off the sides so it is even with that edge, and then all of my sides will be even. When I am done trimming all 4 sides, I will have a square that is the exact same size, and my units will look like this. Out of each set of squares, I will have one with light kite shapes and one with dark kite shapes. When I sew these all together, I can either make a block pattern like this, or I can sew them together, and this would be a row in a quilt, and see how it has motion in the quilt, but all I did was sew straight sides together. Everything matches easily, and it's basically sewing 4-patch units together to make a very impressive quilt.